First, I was diagnosed with celiac in 2003. I had studied abroad in Australia, and when I came home, I was having terrible stomach pains. They thought I had a parasite, but it ended up I had celiac. Nobody really knew what celiac was back then. So I was in college. They told me not to eat gluten. My mom mixed it up initially. It was like, I think you need to eat more gluten. Like, it was before there were any really gluten-free products or anything. I always had stomach issues my whole life. I ended up eventually after college going gluten-free, but my stomach issues never really got better. And in 2007, I was diagnosed with collagenous colitis.
Okay, Collagenous Colitis.
Yes.
And that was 2007.
Yes.
And before that, it was just celiac. And before that, you were always having GI issues with no diagnosis.
No, I just told myself I had a bad stomach. That's what I thought.
Okay, so always sensitive and always dealing with this. Was this even in your teenage years?
I was a junior in college when I got the celiac, and then I was in my 20s when I got the colitis diagnosis.
You were in your 20s, and how old are you now?
I'm 41.
And so most of your adult life, you've dealt with GI issues.
Yes.
And you were diagnosed with Collagenous Colitis when you were 21. And for anyone who doesn't know what the difference of this colitis versus ulcerative colitis, what was the difference when the doctors gave you that term, that specific term?
That you don't have like the actual damage, it doesn't like the visible damage to the gut, to the intestines. Like, it's more when they do a biopsy, there's inflammation in the collagenous cells. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And they don't really know much about it. They don't really know what causes it. And there's not really many treatment options other than steroids, is basically what I was told.
And this causes a lot of times sporadic diarrhea and urgency and maybe some malabsorption issues.
Yeah, I would just have days out of nowhere where I just have nonstop watery diarrhea for days. Yeah. There was nothing. And it came to a point where I couldn't work. I couldn't have a job. I couldn't sit in a chair. I knew it was really bad when I was pregnant with my first son. I was 9 months pregnant and I was having so much pain that I laid on the floor in a public bathroom just to try to relieve that gas pain, because it didn't matter what I did. I always had pain and I always had diarrhea.
Man, and this was happening for on and off for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
During that time, did you start getting educated in natural medicine and functional medicine and taking on health as a career?
I was a nurse.
Okay. A registered nurse.
A registered nurse, yes.
Yes.
So I worked in oncology. So they would offer me steroids, but as an oncology nurse, I saw the long-term effects of steroids, and I just knew that wasn't a solution to me. That was just a Band-Aid, and I knew that. I decided there had to be another way. I started researching as much as I could, and in the functional medicine side of this. I tried literally everything under the sun. I did the specific carbohydrate diet. I did AIP. I did keto. I did paleo. I did low FODMAP. I did hypnosis, I did meditation, I did everything under the sun.
So you had a ton of experience with natural medicine. And I remember you were just saying that you were calling our team over and over again going, what can you possibly do for me? I've done it all. I've done the diets, I've done the supplements, I've tried it all. I've been doing this for 20 years. And I even tried
Ginny's. I read Ginny's book front to back, and I could not get past. I would always hit a roadblock. Always. I couldn't get past.
And what made you feel like maybe this was different? Was it you were out of luck and you just needed to throw a dart, or did you feel like there might be something different about the S.H.I.E.L.D. program?
Because it was coming from, it was being taught by people who had gone through what I was going through, I knew there had to be something big with this. If they were coming back and teaching it and sharing what they had learned, they had lived it, and then they were coming and they were sharing what they had lived with other people. And I watched every one of the testimonies. That was just like,
you're doing now.
Yeah. I was like, these are my people. They get it. I'm like, they have to get it. Because this is all you do. That's not the same with a functional medicine doctor.
You nailed it. That's what it is. This is all we do. And we have this ourselves. And it's not easy. It's not always perfect. So when you decided to join the S.H.I.E.L.D. program, 20 years, trying everything under the sun, put tons of money, tons of time, tons of discipline into this. What were your symptoms when you came in?
Watery diarrhea, like 2 to 10 times a day. Every food intolerance under the sun. I had no idea what I could eat. I would eliminate everything, and then I'd have nothing to eat. I couldn't go out to eat. I couldn't go to dinner parties. I couldn't have a drink of alcohol. Wow. I was having bloating. I would have to have 2 different outfits. Like, if I was at a good day, I can wear these clothes. If it's a bad day, these are the clothes I need to wear. A lot of joint pain, brain fog.
And diarrhea, urgency, lots of bloating, lots of of cramping and pain, gas, some hair loss, and dealing with a little bit of hemorrhoids. I mean, and this is after the most specific diets and doing all these supplements.
No, I was convinced this was my life. I was convinced it wasn't going to change.
So let me ask you now, what are your symptoms?
I don't have any right now. I cannot believe it when I say it.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes me a while to even say that because I wouldn't say it to my coach for a long time. I couldn't even say it to her. So it's unbelievable.
Wait a minute. So I'm looking at all of your goals and notes right here. So you're having 2 or 3 bowel movements a day.
Mm-hmm.
And
like a normal person.
Like a normal person, and no urgency, no diarrhea, no major bloating, gas, normal, no loose stool, formed stools, no joint pain, no hair loss, no hemorrhoids.
No.
How is that possible?
I think it's, you guys take everything into consideration. The method, the steps that you take in the process all have a purpose. I don't know, and the way you combine your supplements with mental health and opening your drainage passageways, and there's just so much you guys take in consideration that one functional medicine might do this one and one might do this one, and no one puts it all together and personalizes it for one person.
That's it. Amen to that. Let me ask you, and how quickly did you start seeing results?
I think in the first 3 weeks, the diarrhea was gone. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I've been trying for 20 years to do this.
That's amazing. Yeah. And one thing I want to say to everyone out there, it might not just be what you know, but it's the quality of what you integrate.
Yeah.
What we use and why we use it is very specific. It's specific for IBD. We know it gets results. Like there are many different types of a probiotic or a curcumin or a binder or a mucosal healer. But the ones we use, we know we get great results with. That also might be a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And let me ask you, were with Coach Lori.
Yes.
Do you think you could have got these kind of results without having Coach Lori by your side, being your private coach?
No, I needed her. Like you can do things, but then symptoms would come up or I'd start feeling a certain way. And she would just give me that encouragement, whether or not to keep going or explain to me what it might mean. We need to back off. Like she was so knowledgeable. There were times when I doubted and I was like, I don't think. She just knew. And she was right. She was always right. Yeah.
So having someone there, because a private coach is included in the program, and now you can see why. Having someone there with you one-on-one to also go through the program is extremely valuable to get that result and to get that customized answer.
Yes, 100%.
And let me ask you, I mean, you started seeing symptom relief in the first 3 weeks, month, after years of, I've tried everything, I've researched the heck out of all this, I've been a registered nurse for so long, I know what I'm doing here. Is there anything you'd like to highlight to anyone else who's listening to your story and experience and going, okay, you tried everything, you did all this, you had a customized plan, it was refined over months. You joined the program last June, so we've been in the program for about half a year. But is there one thing you'd like to highlight out there to anyone else who's suffering, who's tried everything, who's had this type of loose stool, diarrhea, watery stool, that you think really helped calm things down for you?
Opening my drainage passageways was we found out through the course of my protocol that my liver was very congested. I would have never found that out any other way. And I had no idea that my symptoms correlated to that, but Lori knew right away. And then she knew, she tested me for some viruses, and then that's what we were able to target. And ever since we did that, my symptoms, I did better. And then I during the program, I was doing great initially, then I went down. And ever since we dealt with the liver and the viral issues, I've been so good.
So you found some root issues, you treated those root issues, and it was things you had never seen before, done in a way specifically made for you. Amazing. It almost sounds too good to be true.
It does. It is. I really think it is.
And I mean, you said you watched all these testimonies. And did it feel like they could do it, but you couldn't because you had been sick for so long?
I used to watch them crying in bed. And I would be like, they couldn't have found this many actors. I'm like, these are real people. I'm like, they have to be real. That's why I kept watching them. I was like, this can't be me. I'm like, but I was like, how did they have luck with so many? I'm like, maybe there's a chance for me too. Maybe it's not luck. Maybe they know what they're doing.
Well, let's talk about what makes that difference. I mean, you've done other programs, protocols, all this stuff. What were the big difference makers here? Number one, having a coach. Number two, having a customized solution. Number three, looking for different root issues that can be impacted throughout the entire body. It's not just the GI tract. It could be all sorts of problems, like the liver for you. And then taking into consideration what's happening emotionally, right? And also looking for alternative therapies, like colon healing therapies.
Yeah, I tried tapping also. That's another thing I tried during, and tapping has been amazing for me.
Yeah, let go to help the nervous system calm down.
Exactly.
Let go of that stress, which is also causing us more diarrhea and affecting our immune system from regulating underlying infections. And it's not easy, right? It takes hard work. You got to do it.
No, it's a lot. It's your life for a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this. Most of your protocol, did you find that most of your protocol was first thing in the morning and last thing at night? That your middle of your day? That was it.
But for me, when I have 4 little kids, it's like second nature. Yeah, I have 4.
So you did all this. We didn't even mention that. You did all this and had the success after 20 years of not having success while taking care of 4 children.
Yeah. So anyone can do it if I can do it.
Power mama.
But yeah, it is. It's mainly in the morning and night. It's just making time for it. It's just adjusting your routine every day to just make a little bit more time in the morning and in the evening to get it done.
It's kind of difficult to learn your protocol, like to understand because it's a lot of information. But once you get it, it's quite easy.
Yeah, now it's like second nature. I don't even have to think about it.
Wow, amazing. This is so fantastic, Jacquelyn. I mean, what you've been able to accomplish. If there's any last word of advice you give to anyone out there who's suffering, who's saddened, looked at everything under the sun, what would be your advice to them on getting over the hump, finding a healing result, or even considering the S.H.I.E.L.D. program?
I would say just do it. I considered it for at least 6 months. I went back and forth about it. I had spent so much money already, and I had a lot of guilt about that. But it is so worth it because now I'm not wasting any money. Now, when I spend money on stuff, I know it's stuff that is helping me, whereas before I was always guessing. So it may seem like a lot of money up front, but in the long run, it's going to save your health, your life, and it'll save you money eventually down the line. Do it. That's what I would say.